Alright, so I'm back, and today we're going to talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Episode 1. I was so bored. It was a very boring episode. That's what I got to say about it. It was just boring. Overall, did I like it? No. I've got a lot of problems with it. Both, like, logistic problems and then personal problems. And it's just, there's a lot of things I didn't enjoy. So let's start it off with, the one thing I did like about it. There was one thing, and it was just seconds long. And that was when, it was after Obi-Wan ran into the other Jedi. And, they talked for a bit, and he sent him packing, like, good luck, dude. Sent him to his death, essentially. But afterwards, because it brought up all the memories of Jedi and Sith and all that stuff. Afterwards he's at home and he's sleeping and he starts dreaming of, flashbacks of all the hard memories, and it's just like, that's what happens, when you get those kind of memories drug up because, Blast from the Past shows up at your doorstep. And that was pretty good because it's something we don't see all that often when it comes to these kinds of stories, especially when it's Disney's involved. It's usually there's not much ramifications. My brother died last movie, but we're good. Like Scarlet Witch and her brother, and like he dies in Age of Ultron, she's devastated, but then by Civil War, she could care less. She's dating Vision, things are all good. Whatever, moving on. It's just like, alright, you're not broken, okay, whatever. and it's just like stuff like that. It's just, usually you don't see that. And yeah, it was only a couple seconds long, but you see him just like thinking back on, the horrors of his brother essentially turning evil and trying to kill him and them fighting. And it's like, that moment was so good, and it was only a few seconds long. It's like, that's what I would like to see in these Star Wars stories, but instead we get the rest of the show, and it's just like, that's the only positive I have. So at least I have a positive on this one, unlike the Doctor Strange movie. Alright, so let's talk about the things that I didn't like about the show. So first off, you got two characters that are playing ultra super tropey type stories. And it's just awful because of it. So you got you got the Obi-Wan story arc, which is, the old mentor that was betrayed, and now he's hiding out. He doesn't want to help anybody, and he's just trying to live his life the best he can, but not utilize his powers anymore. We've seen it, X-Men with Magneto. We've seen it, X-Men with Xavier and X-Men with Wolverine. They try to disconnect themselves from the world, and then they come back, and it's just like, seen it, skip. And then you got the Princess Leia thing where it's, she's the princess, but she doesn't want to be the princess. She just wants to be a kid. And so she pays other kids to pretend to be her so that she can sneak out into the woods. And then you got the bad guy that watches her sneak into the woods. And that what causes him to be able to kidnap her. And it's like, I've seen that too. It's like it's a copy and paste children's movie. I mean, Disney. It's a Disney trope. So I guess that makes sense, but it's just like, So it's like that type of storytelling is just awful. And then the whole reluctant hero, like, oh, I can't help. Oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, this and oh, that. And then at the very end, all right, I'm in. It's like, all right. That's just, you just had to ask him like 3 times instead of just 2. And now he's like, all right, I'm in. Let's do it. Cool. Let's go. You know, there's another thing, you know, we've seen it 1,000 times. And so it's like, okay, here we go. Now we've got the story. And so I didn't like that. Some of the CGI scenes are awful. You know, it's like in The Mandalorian, at least most of them were pretty good, pretty decent. But there's a scene when, like, Obi-Wan's sitting there having his lunch, or dinner, or whatever you want to call it, and he's sitting on the cliff face, and it zooms out, and you could tell that he's just superimposed in on the scene. And it's just like, man, even in the 70s, those scenes looked better. I mean, that was just awful. It's just comically bad. Let's see. There's the scene when the bad guys are chasing after Leia, and that one runs right into the tree branch, and it's just like, it's so like, what? I mean, go back and watch the scene. It's not a sharp curve. It's not like he was ducking. It's not like he was, like, the branch was moved. I mean, it just, Leia's coming and she ducks under the branch, and this guy just runs full speed into this branch, and it's like, why? It makes no effort to slow down or walk around it or dodge it in any way. He just runs into it, and it's just like, why? Why did that happen? It's just so bad. And it's equally as bad as the dialogue of Princess Leia herself. Hey, cousin. It's like porn level writing, where it's like you have to qualify who you're talking to. It's like people don't talk to people like that. Like, really, I could, honest to God, tell you right now, without a shadow of doubt in my mind, I have never walked up to any of my cousins and said, "Hey, cousin." Just, hello, cousin. Hello, mother. Hello, brother. Hello, people don't talk like that. Just, anyway, I guess people do say mother, but not, you know, I don't walk up to my brother and say, "Hey, brother." You know, it does make me sound like a wrestler. "Hey, brother." It's just bad writing. You know, it's like you would, if you walked up to your cousin, you'd be like, "Hey, Sam," you know, or Bob, you know, "Hey, Bob, how's it going?" You know, you don't say, "Hello, cousin Bob." You know, it's like, you just don't say stuff like that. It's just not, it's not normal. So that's what I have problems with, like the writing, the acting, and the CGI. And then my personal problem, and I'm sure this has been explained in some sort of canon that I've not watched, because I don't watch the cartoon stuff. I just can't do it. I couldn't make it through the Clone Wars. I couldn't make it through, like, episode 1, I think it was. Like, I watched the movie, and then I watched episode 1, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, God, this episode's going on forever! And I was just so bored and hated it, and I hit the pause button. I'm like, it's only been 15 minutes? Ugh. So it's like, yeah, I'm sure somewhere it explains it, but I have a huge problem with the Inquisitors. A hate them. Not for what they do in the show, but because of what they are. And the thing that they are is Sith-like beings. You know, they're Sith. And there's the rule of two. That's how I was raised with Star Wars, because it was always the rule of two. Episode 1, it was Palpatine and Darth Maul. Episode 2, it was Palpatine and Dooku. Episode 3, it was Palpatine and Dooku. Then Dooku dies, and that's Palpatine and Anakin. And in episodes 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6, was Palpatine and Vader. And Vader's master plan was to have Luke help him kill Palpatine, so it would be him and Luke. And Palpatine's plan was to have Luke kill Vader, so that it would be Palpatine and Luke. You know, rule of two. One master, one apprentice, no more, no less. That's the rule of two. It's been there for a very long time. And now it's like, rule of two. You got your master, apprentice, and then a fuck ton of other Sith guys that follow around. Why? Why not? And why the fuck does everybody have to have special lightsabers? I'm so sick of special lightsabers. You know, they got the circle ones that rotate and Ever since Darth Maul showed up, you know, and with his double-bladed lightsaber, which I was like, okay, that's cool. I didn't need anything special from any other lightsabers from that moment on. I just the one, you know, the one variant was cool. But then you got the Dooku one that like is the pistol grip one. You got these spinning ones. You've got dual bladed ones, you know, with smaller beam. It just gets to this point where it's like everybody's got a fucking gimmick now. You know, Vader didn't need a special lightsaber. He just had a regular old red one, you know, and he was still, you know, badass. But anyway, I just don't like the fact that there's all these different little Sith, evil Jedi wielding powers, or Force wielding villains, and it just gets annoying. Because of the rule of two. I don't like it. I don't want to like it. I don't want to understand why they're doing it. You know, I get they just need to have more villains tossed into the show. And it's just like, that's why, you know, it's cool to see those villains, like, I can't remember his name, but in Rogue One, you had the director, you know, the guy with the white suit, you know, like, he made such a good, intimidating villain because he was just being a bad guy. He had no Sith powers, no lightsaber, you know, he was just being a bad guy, you know, and it's like, that's what I want, you know, like, let's just have some bad guys. They don't have to all have Sith powers. You know, they don't all have to have lightsabers, you know, it's like, not everybody in this universe needs lightsabers, you know, it's like, anyway, and you know, they're chasing down that Jedi that Obi-Wan lets die, and yes, he let him die because it's like, dude, he's a fellow Jedi, and that's another story element that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So he leaves at the end of episode 3. Yoda tells him, like, hey, I'm going to show you how to communicate with your former master, Qui-Gon. But you since learn, you know, in this show that he hasn't been using his Force power, so obviously he hasn't been communicating with him. So he's just been in hiding. He doesn't want anything to do with this other Jedi, and he's like, the Jedi are dead and gone. You need to just leave it alone. Retire, you know, go off and do something, and then he basically lets the guy go off and die. But in the same episode, he's sitting there telling Uncle Owen that he needs to train the boy for the use of the Force when he's old enough. And again, that also doesn't make sense because of the whole, like, Anakin, he's too old to begin the training. And it's like, okay. So he's too old, but Luke, already 10, is not old enough? But he's sitting there, he's like, I'm going to train him in the Force, but I don't want to use the Force, and I'm going to let these other Jedi die, because I want nothing to do with the Jedi and the Force. But I'll train him to be a Jedi. What the fuck? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why is this one special, but this one's not? And then, Leia's in trouble, and I don't give a fuck until later on in the episode. Like, at first, he's like, yeah, whatever. Let her die. She'll be fine. It's like, no. You know, it would have made more sense if he was willingly using the Force at home and just keeping it quiet, you know, fully embracing that side of the Force, and doing his regular Jedi stuff, you know, his training and talking to Qui-Gon, maybe using Force projections to talk to Yoda every now and then, just checking in on him. You know, that would have made more sense, story arc wise, and it also would have made more sense character wise if they would have called him up and said, "Hey, Leia's been kidnapped," and he would have been like, "Okay, where am I going?" before even they asked him to help. That would have been more to his character. I don't like, you know, it's like every now and then it's okay to see that story of somebody that's like, no, I don't want to play the hero anymore. I tried, I failed. But, you know, it's also rewarding to see somebody that's been, like, sidelined. He's on the bench because he's been told to be on the bench by Yoda, who's like, hey, we need to go in hiding. You need to go here to protect the boy. You know, it's like that's what his job was. And he's been on the bench and he wants to go out and he wants to do things, but he's been told not to. But now he's been asked to help and it's like, all right, let's fucking do it. You know, have him chomping at the bit, like, come on. You know, that's what I wanted to see. You know, that's the kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi I would like to see. You know, not this, I don't know. I failed so badly the last time I helped. I'm just a loser. But I'll go. I just had to say no so that there's tension. I mean, everybody knows he's going to say yes. So that's all I got to say about the show. Really, I don't like the some of the CGI. I don't like the writing. I don't like some of the acting. I don't like the story so far. I don't like the Inquisitors. I don't like the fact that they exist, let alone are in the show. I'm not compelled by them whatsoever. I know what happens in this show. I know who kills who, and then who pretends to be dead, and who's not dead, and then who does this, and who does that. I know all this. You know, it's all been spoiled, but I was still hoping that there might be some good in the show, and so far, I haven't seen anything that makes it worthwhile watching the entire series. I'm going to continue watching it. We'll see if I change my opinion as we go, but as of now, I don't like it. I'm not going to give it a rating because I don't think it would be fair to rate, because some shows take a while to get good. I know that. I don't want to watch 3 seasons of Clone Wars so that the 4th season's good. I don't want to watch that. You know, that's not good to me. But some shows just take a while to kind of get that momentum. Breaking Bad is one of those shows where it's like, yes, it was good from the start, but it doesn't really get into its stride until about halfway through that first season, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, all right. You know, there's a lot of shows that are like that. It's like Supernatural is a great show. It has its ups and downs, but the first few episodes are like, it's like, okay, this seems very much like the standard Monster of the Week kind of storytelling, but then by the end of the first season you're like, okay, there's actually a bigger arc that's going on with this story, and then it continues on to season 2, and it's just like, okay, I get it. It's working now. You know, this all works for me now. Like, you know, some shows take a while, so maybe it's just going to take a while for it to get good. I'm not holding my breath, but you know, we'll see. You know, maybe I'll be blown away by watching the same fight sequence on my big screen TV as I did on my phone. You know, it's like, you know, maybe that will be the difference. Or maybe the context of the episode will make it more impactful, but we'll see. We shall see. But as of now, I'm like, it's alright. It's alright. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine. So yeah, I guess that's really all I got.